Hey, good morning out there to all my fellow styrene users and abusers. This is George coming to you this morning from the back deck at Kitchen Table Scale Models for episode 4. What episode is this? Episode 4 of Model Cars and Coffee. Time for a sip of coffee. I want to thank you all for tuning in, and if you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up, a like. If you really like it, give me a subscribe. If you either really like it or really don't like it and don't like your friends, go ahead and share it with them. Kind of a sort of an off-the-wall subject this morning, or another episode of my off-the-wall series where I pull cars down off my shelf and talk about them. Today we're going to talk about Bugattis, exotic dancers, and the IPMS, and you're wondering what in the world do they all have to do with each other. Well, you're going to have to watch and listen. There'll be a quiz. Looking today at the 27 Bugatti 35B. This is a kit that was done by Monogram, originally released in '66. I think the build I have in front of you was done from a '78 issue of that kit. A little bit about the Bugatti 35B. As we build models, we always like to come up with backstories, and this is a model that came, or this is a build that really came with its own backstory, which is really what intrigued me about it, and I'll explain as we go along. The Bugatti 35 was arguably one of the most successful race cars ever during its build, 1924 to 1930. It won over 1,000 races. It won the 1926 World Championship, which was, the contemporary equivalent of Formula One. In 5 years running, 1925 through 29, this thing won the Targa Florio. At one time, from what I can read on this car, it was racking up over 14 race wins a week throughout Europe and the U.S. This is a build of a very specific Bugatti. When I started, let me go back. The Monogram kit was released in '66. I remember building the original, and when I started building again a few years ago, this was pretty near the top of my list of kits I wanted to build again pretty soon. I started researching, and what drew me to this particular example was that it wasn't blue. Pretty much every Bugatti you ever see is, French blue, because, well, that's the color Bugattis are, just like Ferraris are red, except when they're not. But what really attracted me to this one is the story. This is, I'm not going to call it a replica, I will call it a tribute, for lack of a better word, to a very specific Bugatti, as raced by a woman who was nicknamed the Bugatti Queen. And I'm going to just read real quick from the liner notes to tell you about this woman, because this story just fascinated me when I read it. And again, this is from the liner notes from a book written by an author by the name of Miranda Seymour, entitled, as you saw, The Bugatti Queen. Calling to mind the audaciousness of Amelia Earhart and the erotic charms of Josephine Baker, Helle Nice, the Bugatti Queen, shattered records and conventional expectations for women in the years between the wars. This would make a fabulous movie. Transcending her provincial background, Helle Nice, born Helene de Langle, made her way into the Parisian demi-monde of the I don't know what a demi-monde is. I think it means underworld. Anyway, demi-monde of the 1920s as a nude model, ballerina, and cabaret dancer, but it was on the racetrack, thrilled by a heady mix of machinery and speed, that Nice would realize her destiny as the fastest woman in the world. Catching the attention of the formidable Ettore Bugatti, designer of the world's most desirable cars, Nice gained entree into his exclusive club of male drivers. Her readiness to pose for the camera with seductively half-closed eyes and a radiant smile, coupled with her willingness to risk her life for a record or a win, made Nice an irresistible commodity for Bugatti's mark. Impenitentially promiscuous, She took lovers ranging from engineers and mechanics to aristocrats of the racing world, including Baron Philippe de Rothschild and Count Bruno Harcourt. Helenice placed in numerous Grand Prix, was the only woman to drive the treacherous American dirt tracks and speed bowls of the 30s. Boy, I bet that's a great story, huh? And set new land speed records until a notorious accident in Brazil nearly ended her racing career. Keyword there, nearly. Her comeback impeded by the war, she lived out occupation in the south of France in 1949. And in 1949, after being mysteriously denounced by a hostile fellow driver as Gestapo agent, she was written out of history. I'm going to see if I can pop a couple photographs here. See, there's some interesting photographs here. Well, this video is not for children. Yes. Looks a heck of a lot better than Max Verstappen, doesn't she? So that's the story of Helenice, and that's the story of the Bugatti Queen, and that's the story of this kit. And, you know, it was a fun build. I'm not going to talk a lot on the build, but I'll talk a little bit about it. The color on this, I custom mixed it, realizing it's almost a dead match for the cockpit green color that Tamiya makes for aircraft builds. One of the things I did that's a little bit different, I'm bouncing all around here, sorry guys. Typical to the Monogram Classic kits, this thing goes together like a dream. It practically puts itself together. Every piece fits where it's supposed to. Very little flash, very little bolding lines. One of the things I did with this kit, and I've got another video on this, is all of the natural metal on this kit was done with Vallejo metal colors. Airbrushed, and I really like the way they came out. I've been trying some of the different metal colors. I like the Vallejo. Not only do I like the appearance of it, but I really like the ease of cleanup. It just cleans up with hot water. I did a little video on the Vallejo. Pull it back a little bit. Let's pull in a little bit. There we go. I did a little video on the Vallejo metal colors when I first started this page, and I just might repost that since I'm referencing it here, or maybe give you a link if I can figure out how to do links. I haven't quite figured out how to do that yet. So that's the Bugatti 35B and the Bugatti Queen and the Exotic Dancers. But where's the IPMS come in? Well, that's a good question. Here's where the IPMS comes in. I just want to give them a shout out. Real quick, if you're a model car builder, if you're a modeler, if you're a plastic modeler, you belong in the IPMS. If you're a car modeler, you haven't always felt welcomed. Let's do this. We don't need to be looking at trees. We could be looking at a model. There, that's better. If you're a car modeler, we haven't always felt welcome to the IPMS meetings, and I've heard that a lot over the years. But I need to tell you that from my own experiences and from what I'm hearing from other modelers across the country, that has changed. I recently started going to the Baltimore IPMS chapter, which meets about 20 miles north of where I live. Don't get out there every month, but that's another story. It's a great group of guys. I have felt nothing but welcoming and warmth, and gosh, we're glad to have you. Since I walked into the first meeting, I'm always greeted with even though we might not all know each other's names, but I'm always greeted with people who are interested in what I bring in to put on the table and how I did what I did. And I need to say something right off the bat. I'm not any more than maybe a moderately accomplished hobby modeler. My models look good in photograph, but you look at this thing that's covered with flaws like every model I build. These guys are like professional modelers. They are over the top, but they are welcoming. They're interested. They make me feel welcome. And I think from what I'm hearing, this is a trend going on now throughout the IPMS world. I'm hearing more and more that recent IPMS shows have been more welcoming to car modelers, open to car modelers. But what really, really hit me over the head about it is this month's issue of the IPMS Journal. As you can see, first of all, this is a brand new cover. This brings the IPMS Journal cover into the 21st century graphically. I mean, it looked like something that went back to the mid-60s before. Very formal, very kind of, well, IPMS-like, if you will. Nothing announces, hey, we're into cars. Nothing announces other than choosing this issue, which is a brand new format, a brand new cover, and putting a absolutely exquisite Maserati 250 MFH kit build on the cover. Nothing says, hey, we're okay with cars. We're into cars. But more importantly, there's at least 3 other articles inside here. And what I found most interesting is that the tendency is to look at IPMS modelers as highly serious modelers, but what says, hey, we're open to cars probably as much as anything else is they actually include an article on a Tom Daniels kit, which they're fun kits. But I don't think anybody can call them a serious automotive subject. So IPMS is open for business. If you're a model car builder, I urge you to seek out a local IPMS chapter and get involved. You're going to learn a lot, and you're probably going to share a lot because you're going to get a lot of questions. So that's it. I'm going to wrap this up right now. Episode 4, Model Car and Coffee. Cheers. Thanks for watching.